Hello and welcome back, and today we're reviewing an installment of a series that, despite having played almost if not all of the games, I've yet to do a video on. So what better place to start than with the last game? Sort of. I mean, technically it was also DLC for Uncharted 4, but they released it as its own standalone game as well. It's like Dishonored Death of the Outsider all over again. But let's skip the pleasantries and get into Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. The story takes place after the events of Uncharted 4, so sadly no Nathan Drake. Instead you play as Chloe Fritz, who is apparently one of Nathan Drake's companions from Uncharted 2 and 3. She is in India, that is currently in the middle of a rebel uprising led by a man named Asav. Chloe managed to sneak into a city currently under the occupation of said rebels to meet up with her correspondent Nadia Rose, who was a minor antagonist and side character from Uncharted 4. The two managed to infiltrate Asav's office and find out that he's looking for an ancient artifact called the Tusk of Ganesh. You know, it seems like I review a lot of games that involve ancient artifacts. I know, maybe it's just one of those sort of staples of storytelling, or maybe it's just me. Anyway, after a confrontation with Asav and his men, they manage to escape and head off into the jungle to find the ruins of an ancient Indian civilization. After a lot of exploring, puzzle solving and fending off Asav and his goons, they manage to locate where the Tusk of Ganesh is hidden. However, Asav also manages to find the location of the Tusk, thanks to the help of a reluctant Sam Drake, who's Nathan Drake's dodgy brother from Uncharted 4. Chloe and Nadia manage to find the Tusk in the depths of an ancient city, only for Asav to steal the Tusk and destroy a large chunk of said city in the process. So Chloe, Nadia and the now released Sam Drake head off and locate Asav in an abandoned train yard where he's trying to perform some sort of deal with a bunch of treasure hunters turned arms dealers that Nadia used to be in charge of. After taking down the arms dealer's new leader, they discover that Asav has traded the Tusk of Ganesh for a massive bomb that he is stuck on a train and is driving it towards the middle of a large city where he plans to detonate said bomb. They manage to catch up with and eventually outpace the train, switch the tracks, have a fist fight with Asav before Chloe and Nadia manage to get off the train just in time before it falls off a broken viaduct, crashing into the gorge with Asav on it and exploding. Sam then manages to catch up with the two, revealing that he managed to keep a hold of the Tusk of Ganesh. The two suggest that they give it to a museum, much to Sam's dismay, and end credits. Apart from a few refinements, the gameplay is your standard Uncharted affair, and by that I mean third-person action, exploration, with a focus on climbing and platforming, a bit of shooting on occasion, and a bit of puzzle solving on the side. One of the things I do feel I have to mention is the AI, more specifically that of Nadia. Apart from doing the usual things like follow you around and help you out in a firefight, it also does some things on its own at certain occasions, like breaking the lock of something if your lockpicking takes a bit too long, marking enemies down that you cannot see, stealthily taking out an enemy if she's nearby, or other things like helping you with puzzles. I feel it does this sort of thing enough to make it feel like the character has its own agency and unpredictability of their own, but not too often to the point that it feels like the AI is essentially playing the game for you. There are a few collectibles scattered throughout the levels, and in one of the chapters there's a side quest which, if you complete it, gives you an item that helps you find said previously mentioned collectibles. Oh, and there are also certain areas where you can take pictures, which doesn't really contribute to the game in any significant way. The graphics are really awe-inspiring and help to convey the areas very well, from the rundown slums of the occupied city to the awe-inspiring architecture of the ancient ruins, to even the characters themselves. Just an absurd amount of polish and detail put into almost every pixel. And while the music is fitting and atmospheric, I can't for the life of me seem to remember any of it. Although I did notice the lack of a certain iconic Uncharted theme. Oh, and if you're wondering about a certain you-know-who, I think after all the banging on the door last episode, I think he's finally given up. This game is a short but sweet affair, which makes sense as it's technically a DLC. The story is pretty standard, but makes up of it with the characters being entertaining and interacting with each other very well. The gameplay is extremely fun and enjoyable. The graphics are awe-inspiring and very good. And music, well, the music's at least fitting. And the only real problem I have with it is there just wasn't more of it. Well, it's unclear whether Naughty Dog will make another Uncharted game, or another game at all for that matter, as they seem to be spending most of their time and effort on defending The Last of Us 2. Seriously, Naughty Dog, just let it go and move on. As for this game, it's really fun, worth giving a play, and is still probably better than the Uncharted movie. Well, that's all from me, signing out. Enough moping around. I will find a way to make people respect me. I will find a way to make people take me seriously. But how?